And here we are. This is the first video of a long series of videos I hope to be able to make throughout the weeks and months of projects and ideas and stuff. I'm the Grumpy Sculptor. This is my first video. I have no idea what to say and how to say it. Let's see how it goes. This is almost like a promo of what the channel was going to be. We're here sculpting the pumpkin tumbler. This is part of a project I'm doing with my girlfriend, sculpting different tumblers, different subjects, and I don't know, whatever comes up to our mind. The plan is to become like independent and works for ourselves and build something out of what we can make, and art and creativity. After 15 years working on movie productions, I feel like it needs to go a little bit more on other directions and not just stick to doing someone else's ideas and designs. And the first forms are done. This part of the process I always like to do as quick as possible, as you can see, and because I love the part of the details. I love the finding forms and shapes and experimenting with texture, and so the creating of the base process I always like to have it as fast as possible. At this point, when I'm happy with the form, more or less, you will see that there's a lot gonna be changed anyway, but at this point I always like to do like a nice straight line in the middle by hand. It doesn't have to be mathematically perfect, but enough to have like a middle. I always start from one side. Usually I always start to sculpt and draw on the left side because I'm left-handed, but for the purpose of this video and the light the way I already start to work from that side. I don't know why I've done it this way, so it's better. Well, I can say actually, now that I'm watching the video when I do this commentary, that I was doing this angle because the other angle was horrible. The wall is not of that color, there's bricks, it looks horrible. My workshop is it used to be a farm barn or something, and so each spot or each storage where around me, it kind of looked pretty bad. It looked like a murder scene. Once all the drawing and the transporting the measurements from one side to another are done, and I'm happy with the way how I look, I start to carve away just to have like the shadows and some sort of three-dimensionality start to comes out and have an idea. Not necessarily all at the same time. My process is clearly not something that you will teach at school. I keep jumping from one area to another, as you can tell from the fact that I left the eye on itself, and then jump on the mouth, and then a couple of bits, and then would tap on, back on top. Is always like this. It's very chaotic the way how I work. I keep needing to jump from one area to another and have some sort of like understanding how every aspect, every part of the sculpt is gonna go. And we're going a bit more into defining the forms. There's still like a lot of jumping from one area to another. I like to have different angles at the same time, and the reason why I'm doing this is I'm not crazy. There's an idea behind that. I'm just chaotic. My opinion is that if you sculpt something and then while you're sculpting it, you reach to a level that you've done that step, that layer all over the sculpt, and then halfway through you realize you have to change that part or that way or that technique or that texture, and you have to change it all over. Where in the way how I work and the way my brain in my head works is that if I do a little bit of this, I start to get used to that form in that way, that shape, that part sculpted in that way. So if I don't like it, I change just that part instead of changing the whole sculpt. It's just a way how I can work without planning, because a lot of times when I get like a design or when I do something from my own, yes, I follow the design. When I need to follow completely, I do it, because obviously you get paid for that. But as an artist, you want to bring something. You want to say something with your sculpting style. You want to say something with the way how you work and the idea that you bring into that design. So at that point, I like to just jump in from one area to another, do different parts in different ways, give me time to absorb the sculpt and appreciate what I've done. I never like what I do. At the end of the day, I always think that's rubbish, especially after a few weeks or months. I look at that and I think that is very bad, and I should do it again, or I want to do it again, and then I plan to do it again and I don't, because I'm either doing something else or I realize I need a break and I try to spend some time for myself and my girlfriend and chill out. When you are an artist and you really want to succeed, the idea of stopping from work is impossible. So sometimes you need to force yourself to decide and say to yourself, stop, have a break, you worked a lot, you've done a lot, because then you start this unhealthy relationship with work, with drawing, sculpting, art in general. So for whoever is starting and begins, to try to find straight away an healthy relationship with your work. For me is an obsession. I've always been sculpting lunch breaks. Even when I didn't have a project, I made my own projects, and this is one of those. But now it's a different reason. In the past, it was mostly out of excitement, out of I want to get better. I want to get. I look at the sculptors that's really good, and I want to get as good as them. I manage for some, I didn't manage for others. We all have different levels, but what is important is that you make your level your own style. The fact that maybe you think, oh, I'm not as good as that sculptor, it might likely be the reality. You're not as good as that sculptor, you're never going to be as good as that sculptor, but you're going to have your own style that make you unique, and then you can create your own things in that way, and people will appreciate it because it's your style. I am not an amazing sculptor, I'm not the best sculptor, but I have my style, I have my speed, and that is enough to make me work or sell or get commissions. At this point on the sculpt, when I found some nice form, monster clay is amazing for this kind of process, to smooth it down, to get like a nice smooth surface and have like a much cleaner base where you can start to do all the wrinkles and the details and all the fun parts of the sculpt. Because monster clay, when you have a heat gun, but it's a specific heat gun. I had a lot of the students, beginners, people messaging me, contacting me and asking this and that, and to like how to do different things in sculpting. And I'll always recommend to buy the blowtorch masterclass. I'll see if I can manage to put like the link in the description, because every blowtorch you buy, there's always one setting or maybe two. Like the strength of the fire is always too much. It's always too aggressive. You can make a little bit more aggressive, a bit less, but you never have the option that the masterclass blowtorch can give you. And that option is vital when you have to just smooth it down or soften it down like a little bit the sculpt. And this I find it works on with monster clay very well, because the blowtorch then can go on almost like a flame, not the blowtorch effect that we all know. It's more like a gentle flame, so you can go on top and gently smooth it down, and you can see that it becomes nice and shiny because it's just the surface that melts. So it's perfect for this kind of things. Now it's nice and smooth. We'll jump here and there. This is for the inside of the mouth, because originally I had no idea what to do with the inside. You can tell it's all smooth. I was thinking maybe I can sculpt it, like make it look like a pumpkin is broken and do a bit of the inside, but then if I do it like this, I have the tumbler inside, so it will make a little force and not fun. By mistake I was just trying to fill it up in this way. I was starting to fill up a bit more the mouth with the clay, and I saw the effect. Obviously I've done it before, but I genuinely couldn't think, what am I bloody gonna do right now? So I've done a bit of this bow tools inside. I thought, oh, maybe I can do it like it's stretching. It's more like is without making it extremely detailed or exaggerating all the inside and spend like way too much time on this. I thought maybe it can be just like a more cartoony effect of like the mouth that is stretching, almost like if there's a membrane that when you open his mouth, it just like gets sucked inside the mouth and create all these stretchy bits. I have no idea how to call it. So yeah, I've done that thing, and I thought, okay, that looks cool. And then it was about the decision of, do I make it for each tooth? I make it just like bogs, and then I just follow the flow. Honestly, I wasn't thinking. A lot of times when I sculpt to do this, I just start to put clay down, and maybe the pressure on my thumb on a piece of clay gives a shape that made me think, oh, that's really cool, actually I'm gonna keep it. Same thing for this. Everything was coming out of the blue. I was just going for it. I'm really enjoying to do this sculpt. I'm gonna be brutally honest. It was a lot of fun. When you work in movie production, when you have like jobs doing music videos, you always have to do what you've been told. You can bring a bit of your interpretation, but it's always have to do what you've been told. So after a while, you start to feel like I need to express myself in a different way. And this was the first time that I had chance to do something that was just for my own, for my girlfriend, for personal project, like a proper personal project. There's no one behind me to tell me you have to do it this way or that way. Well, I have to say I had to change things because Emily told me to change it, but mostly it's her project, so it's fine like that. I'm happy to do it anyway. So this is a nice way that I'm doing the wrinkles. There's a lot of times when I see beginners and students and they want to do wrinkles, and they on a flat surface is just scratch the clay off, smooth it down a bit, and then ta-da, there's a wrinkle. That is not a wrinkle. That is just one dimensional. You have to create like the three-dimensional aspect of the sculpt of the wrinkles, especially with something that is mostly like a detail or a small part. You have to consider like if you see the section, whenever you have the surface is the first, let's say, dimension that is flat, then you carve it down and you create a second dimension, and after that you need a third one, and the third one is what you add on top of that level, and then you create the wrinkles. But there is not just that way. You can either carve and then add, or in this way, for example, there you see like the wrinkles I'm doing on the side of the eye is a series of little worms that I place and basically like help them with my finger and the sculpting tools to draw basically what the shape is going to be. And then with the sculpting tools made in wood, you can do it with metal, but you always have to be really, really gentle, because what you need to do is basically scrape away a bit of what you got on the bottom up and vice versa. You're trying just to fill up basically the gap in between, and this is a way that scraping the surface go fill up the gaps. You can see I'm doing it here too. It's pretty simple, it's nice. I think I took inspiration of this effect when I was looking of sculptors in the beginning of, let's call it career, if you want to call it career. In the beginning I was just doing everything on my own in the workshop. We're just looking at pictures, and a picture there a sculptor that I was looking a lot, it was Steve Wang, and I always was trying to figure out how did he do this, how did he do that. So I did my own interpretation of his style. It's always important when you start to work and you want to become a sculptor, it's always very, very important to look at other sculptors, even if you look just at the best one and the one that are better than you, even if they're not like the top tier of sculptors, it's always important that when you see what they do, if he brings you down and make you feel like I'm shit, I can't do this, I can't do that. I've been there so many times. But then after that, what you need to do is just push yourself, say, so this doesn't mean I have to do it harder, I have to work harder. And always, 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 please be open to suggestions, criticisms of every kind. Obviously, if the criticism is for the sake of it and doesn't give you any information, any direction, anything good for you, and you realize this is just someone that is being mean, so if at least there's an explanation of why the criticism has been done, at that point there is a lesson. It doesn't matter where it comes from. I'm always open to any criticism that actually need that, but it needs to be something that it sounds like an actual advice, an actual suggestion, even if it's from your arch enemy, because that suggestion can make you better, you know? So after a whole video where I didn't speak whatsoever about what was happening on the screen, we're almost at conclusion, and I hope you had a good time. If you didn't, let me know. I open always for criticism. I said it in the video, and I'm more than happy to get suggestion on what I can sculpt in the future or what you want to know. I'm gonna open soon on a Patreon page, and this video will be longer. There will be more talking about the process, and in the future I will update as much as I can about the project that I'm doing, the sculpture that I'm doing, and the future visas coming out. You can have a different interaction with me, but I want to teach, I want to share my knowledge. Anyway, this is the final product, or at least the sculpt. We already molded, now we'll have to cast and do process, but I will try to share even there. And thank you for watching, see you next time.